What's going on, Fit Family? Antoine here. So recently I had the pleasure of being interviewed by Silas. So she is another YouTuber and certified personal trainer. And during the interview, we went over what got me into fitness, and we talked about some strategies people can put into their own fitness journey so they can hit their goals. So it's going to be a good one. You definitely want to stay tuned to check it out.
Hi, Salim. Nice to see you. Oh, we've got a lot of people in here. That's
Awesome.
Well, great. I'm super excited to talk to you because I know we've exchanged a lot of messages, but we've never
Yes,
actually had
indeed.
a conversation. So this is really exciting.
Exactly. So I think this is the best format to have it.
Yeah, most definitely. I was looking at your Instagram. We've been following each other for quite a while now.
Yeah.
And the content that you post is just so inspiring and uplifting and hopeful and supportive. And yeah, so I'm really excited to talk to you. And I think you and I have been through kind of similar journeys in terms of, being really unhappy with where we were. So I'm curious about you. What really inspired you to change your direction in your life?
Oh man. So as far as fitness goes, I've always been interested in it. I just didn't know how to get there. So, I'm 36. So when I came up, there was no YouTube for us to learn or Instagram to learn anything about fitness outside of the action movie. So as far as transforming your body, I looked at a Rocky montage, where people are overtraining, they give you no information on nutrition, and then somehow they look awesome. So I made no progress, but I wanted it. And the turning point for me was you've probably seen the post I did about when I found out I had an alcohol addiction. So I didn't know I had it. I would, party every weekend, drinking a lot, and then that would turn into happy hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I started having panic attacks. And I found out it was from alcohol withdrawal. So I said, oh, wow, I'm an addict. I have to change this. And so when I decided to stop drinking, to get through that rough patch, because you go through a lot of anxiety, a lot of irritability. It's like being in hell for a couple months. So exercise was a way for me to deal with the anxiety. And I really dove into it. And this is around the time when you started getting some good information online. And this is when I found out about the calorie deficit, about energy balance. And that made all the difference. And when that was happening, this was the first time I ever shedded the weight I wanted to shed. And I saw a six-pack. I said, wow, there's actually systems that can get you to create your body the way you want it. And that was it for me. I was addicted. So that's pretty much what did it from a personal fitness standpoint.
Well, that's really amazing. Maybe there's issues with exercise addiction for some people. I don't think it's at that point, but it's cool to take it from something that had, really potentially negative outcome and then transferring that into something that's actually a lot more beneficial long term for
absolutely.
the body. And we've talked a lot about meditation, so even coming into the mind as well. But that's really cool. You studied with ACE, right?
Yes. I'm certified through ACE. ACE is pretty good.
That's awesome. So what had originally inspired you to choose CPT to help other people kind of achieve these same things that you had gone through?
Well, so I've been coaching people on and off for many years, but as I got more free time and I got more serious about this, one of the big things for me was to make sure I don't hurt anybody. So even though you can become really good at training yourself, and we've seen it many times again where people had a bad experience with a personal trainer and they really hurt them, and you see things like The Biggest Loser, and it seems like, you want to throw the most on somebody to get a result. And that's not how you want to do it. So not to hurt people, so let me get certified so I can get that safety aspect on top of the how to build muscle and fat loss information that I've been gathering. So that's what made me want to get certified, because we are part of the healthcare continuum as exercise professionals. So not hurting people is the number one thing. Then we get them in shape.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool to hear your answer, because I watch a lot of other personal trainers in my gym to try and kind of get some inspiration, you know, and one thing that I've noticed that you talk a lot about is form over weight, right? So protecting the body before trying to make it stronger. Right. And, you know, I think you've been really successful in that. I know a lot of stuff that you've shared has helped me a lot. And so I think, yeah. Rooting for you out there. That's amazing. Yeah, I actually ended up going through the NASM instead of ACE, but I heard awesome. Really good things about it. Yeah, I mean,
NASM and ACE. It's funny. Had I not gone through ACE, I would have went through NASM. Those are two of the best. I mean, they've been around for years. So, you know, if somebody wants to get a certified personal trainer, ACE or NASM.
ACE and NASM. It's funny together. It kind of sounds like a superhero. We are ACE NASM. Ready to save the day. Oh, that's right. Amazing. Well, and I actually saw something you posted recently, and you've been looking for men that really wanted to lose weight. And so I'm kind of curious, like, about the typical kind of client that you work with, you know, that you're ready to. Hi, Darian.
Yes. So actually, I work with men and women. So right now, my client split is actually about 50-50. So I work with men and I work with women. Now, the reason I did that post, though, is sometimes when you're out there marketing, it is good to get more niche so you can speak more to the people. Because if you get too general, sometimes things get lost. But yes, I do train men. I do train women. When I first started, I had this vision of me training like athletes, and what ended up happening is I'm training just, people that want to get healthier, which I do think has been a lot more rewarding. I feel like I can make the biggest impact helping people transform their bodies, which will give them more confidence, make people feel better about themselves. So that's where more of my focus is at now.
That's awesome. And that reminds me a lot of the tagline. I liked your tagline on your Instagram for a while. It said helping, something along the lines of like helping fitness professionals or helping professionals change their lives without starving themselves.
Yes, that's a big thing.
Best tagline. Like I really liked your approach to food and to the body, because a lot of what I think people are dealing with these days is having difficulties knowing what to do. Like you were talking earlier about, when we were younger, it was just the Rocky montage of like, I ran up the steps, but nobody really had like this quality information for a super long time. And, now that we have access to it, why not help people, get into a better situation?
Sure. And that's, and that's another thing, like the double-edged sword with the internet, which is one of the reasons I do the content I do, is there's so much information out there that it's hard to weed through what's good and what's bad. There's a lot of nonsense out there. And you'll see that person, where they're in the gym, they think they're on that magic diet, and they look the same 3 years later. It's not their fault. They're following what they were told from the internet. Just wasn't good information. So I try to put what I know is true out there to help people, make that progress they've been trying to get.
Right. Finally have that information, like for you, that was really transformative, finally discovering that calorie deficit and being like, all right, like that's the thing that's going to help me finally get to the 6-pack. What are some of the biggest struggles that your clients are dealing with? Because we have a lot more experience through our, you have a lot more experience than me, but through like NASM and the ACE, we learned a lot of things. What's like the biggest struggle that you see people dealing with in the beginning of their fitness journey?
Gotcha. So the biggest issue that I see, so you have diet and then you have training. Now, training people don't struggle with because the way I do training, I always choose exercises that people enjoy to get the results they want. So that's usually not the issue. It's with nutrition and specifically tracking. I mean, people have no idea about what a calorie is. Now, they've heard the term calorie. They think it might have something to do with carbs, but they have no idea that this is literally the energy that puts weight on you. So that's probably the hardest thing, teaching people about that without overwhelming them. Because you give people too much, they'll just, energy. So, it's educating on energy balance. And then once they get that out the way, everything else works pretty easy. I mean, sometimes we have to course correct because people do sometimes lapse. But once we get that out the way, things usually work pretty smooth.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really cool. I definitely think that's something that I struggled with for a long time as well. Knowing what to eat and why, and changing my relationship with food for sure. When people are having a difficulty like tracking calories, what is the best way for them to start doing that? What do you usually recommend?
Okay, so
hard question.
So I do have two ways I usually approach this. So we have the person that likes numbers and data. With that person, it's pretty easy. I explain how calories work, and I'll usually have them download MyFitnessPal and have a little video where I explain how to use it. And that's pretty much enough to get them started. Now, for the person that hates numbers and they just, so I have another method that I use that kind of tricks them into counting. And I call that the plate model. And basically, I have a diagram that I draw up, and I have fibrous carbs, I have starchy carbs, and I have protein. And I have this plate set up in a way that for most people, it'll get them into a calorie balance get them to a calorie deficit just by following that model. So I'll have them do that. And as they're doing that, I'll have them write down what they're eating. And through that process, I'll slowly be able to trick them
the gentle
understanding
nudge,
how calories work. Yes, exactly. So those are the two ways I mainly go about getting people into that mindset of energy balance.
That's great. When people are starting to do this kind of plate model, do you tell them specifically like what kinds of foods they should be eating in there, or any like certain foods that maybe they can avoid?
Let me give you one of my trade secrets. So now what I typically do is I'll give them the plate model. And so the first week I will have them eat in a way they think is healthy. And I have them write everything down. So that first week, they are not the calorie amount, but they're telling me what they're eating. And then once I see exactly what they think good foods are, then I kind of know what I have to throw at them, what I need to tweak and change. So some people know a lot. I mean, we intuitively, for the most part, know vegetables are good. Carbs are also good, but it's easy to overeat them. So that's usually how I do it with the plate model. And then I'll give them a little more. Okay, let's switch out these foods. Let's use these foods.
That's great. Yeah, trying to find that balance for them. Because I definitely think that's a really good approach, just to see where they're at. Because maybe one person is like, okay, mountain of broccoli. And then another person's like, a slice of cake is healthy, right?
Exactly. Or they want to eat 4 cups of almonds, right? Because you think healthy fats. But if you're trying to lose weight, you don't want to do that. You might as well be eating a couple Snickers bars.
That's true. And at least the Snickers are tastier.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Oh, that's so good. Well, it sounds like it's a really helpful experience, both for you and for them, to kind of gauge where somebody's at and try to redirect them in like a more positive direction, trying to get to that calorie deficit.
Yeah. I think one of the keys are trying to make it not feel like a diet, because depending on how far down you diet, it will get to a point where it will get hard. So I like to keep the hard out of the way as long as possible as I'm building habits, because that's the main thing. And as those habits start getting built, when we get to the exotic land of almost at the 6-pack, for example, usually by that time, diet is no fun. So we need those habits in place so they can get to the finish line.
That's a really good point. What for you, what was that one habit that really helped you to get over that line into 6-pack? You know, because I remember I actually DM'd you about that once. I was like, "Yo, how you get that six pack?" So, trade secrets.
You know what did it for me? Diet breaks. Now, some people may have enough willpower, and I have a lot of it, to be able to diet for 12 weeks straight, 4 months, 5 months. But I found that whenever you try to diet that long, ghrelin, that hormone, is punching you in the face. So eventually you will end up crashing and binging. And so I did a post today about mindset, about changing your goals. So you might have had a goal to get a six-pack. You're at a 2-ish pack now, but dieting's hard. So you say, this is good enough. And usually it's that long-term diet. And so what I do in those situations when I see people start to cheat too much on their diet, once we've been in it for a while, it's time for a diet break. And I've done that with myself also. So diet breaks, I don't do week-long ones. I usually like a break almost as long as the diet itself. And I found that when I do that with people, first off, ghrelin goes down, and then the metabolism comes back up. So when it's time for another diet phase, we can now get to that six-pack. And during the diet break, you did not gain weight because we did not go into surplus. We were eating at maintenance, and we slowly went up to maintenance. So that is, a little more in-depth thing that I do, but that is typically what I do to get people to those more exotic levels of leanness.
Oh, that's awesome. I think that's definitely advice I'll have to personally take as well.
It makes it so much easier. Let me tell you, go on a diet break, and you may actually find that you'll still lose some weight as you're slowly ramping your calories back up.
Nice. Well, that's wonderful advice. Yeah, because I think a lot of people, struggle with this idea of restriction, of just feeling, like I can never eat a donut, I can never eat ice cream, and I really don't think that's the case. So that's amazing advice.
No.
Probably encouraging for some people.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing for people to know that, the diet phase is only a finite thing. So, if you have to diet for 4 months, for example, if you know that once you get to the end of that, there are things we can do to slowly raise your metabolism back up so you can have fun food and keep your six-pack, that's gold right there. And that's why most people, I think, rebound, because it's easy, not easy, but most people know how to lose the weight, but keeping it off is tough if you're still in a deficit. Like, who wants to eat 1,000 calories their whole life to look good? Nobody.
Oh, you need the hamburger sometimes.
You need the hamburger sometimes. Or the French toast. I eat French toast every day. Or the pancakes.
I've seen those pancakes, and every time I'm like, oh, I've got to break out the mixer. Oh gosh, that's awesome. This actually, I saw some interesting comments in here while you were talking about that. Christopher says that he's doing a diet break at OCP Grill. Is that a company? Because that sounds amazing. I'm always down.
That's what I'm talking about.
And
enjoy that diet break.
Eat the steak. See, on a diet break, I found that even on a diet break, you maintain that consciousness. So even on your break, you still tend to utilize moderation. Ooh.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's true. Those habits do not get thrown out the window.
Yeah, I think, like, what is the rule? 28 days after starting a habit, it has become like pretty ingrained. So I think that's really true. Oh, Old City Pizza. We have an answer. OCP is Old City Pizza.
Yes. I would love some Old City Pizza right now.
Ellis. Yeah, the pizza here in Korea is all sugary, so I'll drink
sugary
from afar.
pizza? Oh, man. I'm going to have to have a regular slice of pizza for you. I got you.
Thank you. I'll feel it in my soul from all these miles. Oh, that's awesome. I have one last question. I think she's actually in the audience. It's a friend of mine named Sarah, and I thought you maybe had some good advice for her. She asked, how to implement a fitness routine. So she's had some difficulties with like staying on track. And the way that she expressed it was that she'll start and then she'll fall off the horse and then not get back on again. And, I know we've talked a little bit excuse me, we've talked a little bit about habits, so maybe it's kind of in that direction. I'm not sure, but what would you say to somebody who's having a struggle like that?
Being consistent. So I guess without knowing too much about her, when you want to get on a workout routine, I think first it's important that when you first start off, know what days you can commit to. So let's say, for example, you work 60 hours a week, but you think it's great to try to make it to the gym 5 times a week. You have to be honest with yourself about how much you can actually do. That's not a struggle. So maybe that's making it twice a week. And during that, those 2 times a week, that's what you commit to. So I think that's a good place to start. Be honest about what you can do, because motivation is finite. Motivation and inspiration, they run out. And they will not carry you when it's those days when you don't want to go to the gym because you had a stressful day at work, an argument with your significant other. That's when you need those habits to help make things easy. So I think that's one thing to do. Another thing that I think can help out as far as habits are, give yourself goals when you're exercising. So if you go in there without a game plan, like I'm just going to do the exercise bike or maybe squat, it's easy to not stick to it. So you should give yourself goals of what you want to see happen every week. So that might be adding 2 pounds to the bar each session. And I think when you see progress with the performance things, it'll help you stay excited because you're like, wow, I did more than I did last week. How much do I do next week? So I think that's something else. So, make sure you have goals that you can hit each session. They don't have to be big ones.
That's awesome. Yeah, just the incremental progress then.
Right. And it is good to see. That's addicting, I would say, for most people. So, Sarah, if you're out there, give yourself some goals. I'm going to add 5 pounds to the bar each week. And that will help you out.
Well, that's really great advice because I think it's easy to become overwhelmed or discouraged, and that it kind of reminds me, this made me think of something that I saw on one of your captions. You were talking about the difference between 4 months ago versus that picture. And
Right.
You had said, I wrote it here, so I'm going to read it. It says, there's 4 months between these 2 photos. Oh, Sarah is here. Hi, Sarah.
Hey.
You had said, there's 4 months between these 2 photos. It doesn't take too long to get better. All you need is to decide to change and start moving toward that change. Don't stop when you change. Keep going, keep moving. We don't want to be fit for a day or just for the summer. We want it for life.
That's right.
I love that end part because it's like a permanent life change, right? So even if we fall off of the horse like one time, keep going, and because it's a lifelong thing, it's this lifelong process.
That's right.
Amazing. Well, this has been really cool. I wanted to maybe open it up to the audience to see if anybody's got any final burning questions for Antoine here. He's super rad. So if you guys want to drop any questions.
I got you.
Oh, this is a really cool format. I've actually never done this.
Yeah, this is actually my first time going live. I like it. Maybe this should happen more.
Yeah, definitely. As I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is so powerful because people can actually like write messages and interact. It doesn't feel so like closed off and isolated.
Oh, I have one more thing that I want to add to that question Sarah had as far as being able to stick to a program. So something that I like to tell people with exercise, you have to think of it as a sacred time for yourself, because what I think a lot of us will do is, since it is for us, if something else comes up, like a night out with friends or whatever it is, we'll put ourselves on the back burner. And we have to get out of that mind state. If it's for us, like, time for yourself, it should be sacred. And don't think of it as a laborious task. This is time that we're treating ourselves with. And I think thinking about exercise in that way can also help. It's sacred. It's for you. Keep it sacred.
Oh, I love that. I actually wrote this down here because I'm like sacred time for yourself. Oh,
Yeah,
bless.
yeah,
It's true. Like I can definitely kind of echo a little of that because when I'm in the gym, I almost use it as meditation time.
that's
Like
right.
I'm sure people are like, you're meditating while you're working out. Yes,
That's
very
right. That's
much.
right.
It's like, you know, not that I have a lot of rage, but this moment there to just sort of convene with myself, convene with my body. I don't have to be anything else just except for in that moment.
That's
It's
right.
pretty
That's
cool.
right. I think it's important.
Definitely. Well, thank you. This has been really awesome. I feel like I learned a lot, and I hope it's been, you know, I'm sure it's been helpful for people out there. These are amazing tips. Well,
Well,
cool.
thank you for giving me this opportunity. You are great at interviewing.
Oh, thanks. It's my
You may
first
disagree.
time. Well, cool. You made it easy. This was super easy. It was a fun conversation. So thank you so much. And yeah, maybe we'll do it again soon.
Fantastic. Just let me know. I'll be there.
Sure. All right. Thanks. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for coming. We'll see you next time.
All right, y'all.